This series is designed for professionals as well as those who want to become professionals in the fields of finance, accounting, taxation, and other related practical areas. Today marks the first session of our series, and we are excited to have with us Mr. Gerard Dias, a chartered accountant, corporate trainer, and business consultant who will be leading today's session. The main objective is to provide practical insights into accounting and taxation, which will be especially useful for those working in or preparing to enter these fields. We hope you gain valuable knowledge from this session. Let's begin.
Right. Good evening, everyone. I think we better start to be fair to those who have joined already and waiting for the session. Thank you once again for joining this session where we thought we want to initiate this program to give you a different experience on learning things in a different way, which is really important for your day-to-day professional journey, mainly targeting finance professionals. You may be a student, you may be someone who working in the corporate sector, or maybe playing a leading role in corporate sector, or you may be an auditor or regulator joining from Sri Lanka, Sri Lankans joining from different part of the world, or maybe our foreign colleagues maybe. But we assure you this series of sessions will be very much valuable for you. So basically, as Tarushi explained, we will focus on doing sessions on IFRSs, then the tax, then the commercial or the corporate level experience sharing, different things actually. We expect to bring local and foreign experts to share their insights for support too. So for me, one of the key areas which I like to take up is this IFRS session series. Not just a single session, but we want to run a series of sessions for your benefit. But as we said, we don't want to, to make it a traditional IFRS webinar where the facilitator come with set of slides, which is kind of a summary of the standard and some examples, and then go from start to end. Of course, you should know that part, but there are many platform, many avenues for you to learn that part. But we thought we need to give you some different experience. Having said that, we want also to balance this session. One is to try giving you some fundamental understanding about the subject matter for you to engage with the session. Secondly, to the people who basically what do you call want to get more industry knowledge or the practical knowledge. To be fair to them who listening or watching us, we want to go to the real life examples. Also we understand we have students who are doing professional exams, so this will be beneficial to everyone. And as a majority joining from Sri Lanka, or majority Sri Lankans, we try our best to have a mix of English and Sinhala without having any disturbance to you, but also to bring some recap from Sinhala for better understanding. I thought I will start this session by sharing a particular experience which I have gone through. That is back in 2023, where I was invited to conduct a workshop for a set of professionals who are reviewing the financial statements of state-owned enterprises mainly who prepare financial statement based on IFRS. So their role is to go through the financial statements and to report their findings, not necessarily IFRS, including IFRS, any other observation they have seen. So it's a very interesting and very serious job because you're reviewing state-owned enterprises, like in Sri Lankan context, it could be Sri Lankan Airlines. It could be, I mean, we are in a different structure in Sri Lanka, but if I may explain in that country, what are state-owned enterprises? The airline, port authority, then the water, electricity, all type of utilities. So they're preparing financials based on IFRS. So when I was doing the session, the gentleman who sort of invited me to do the session, he asked me, Gerard, when you do this session, first explain them about health drivers. I was interested, I know what is meant by health drivers, but what health drivers supposed to do for my workshop, which is predominantly go through the financial statements. So for your information who may not have an idea what is health drivers are for any organization, any business, the drivers or the indicators which decide on the which will be important to have that financial stability, operational stability, and long-term sustainability. So in simple terms, health drivers කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයා business එකක් කරනකොට ඒ business එක දිගු කාලයක් පවත්වාගෙන යාමට critically බලපාන සාධක indicators මොනවද කියන එක. I think when you do financial statement, it's about you are presenting your business in numbers, right? So what he meant doesn't matter whether it's IFRS, it could be auditing, it could be any other thing. You can't ignore health drivers when you focus on those areas. So why I thought of bringing that today, our session, if you just go through IFRSs, maybe even you already know that. I believe you might have gone through the case or the video. Maybe some of you know what has happened. But if it is limited to your IFRS or your accounting, I don't think these are not the professionals that we are expecting for tomorrow. We're all talking about being trusted advisors, being business partners. I mean, you may be seen as a chartered accountant or a CPA qualified professional, and maybe designation per se, you are an accountant, finance manager, or CFO. But world needs you to be a trusted advisor or a business partner. For you to be a trusted advisor or a business partner, just knowing your IFRS bit is not enough. You should be able to connect your IFRS to organization health drivers, different departments, and to see the full picture or to understand the complete story. So we thought we will do our effort to give you that full picture, meaning if you are in the corporate world or if you want to be a better professional, we want to support you through this series of sessions. So this is not a technical presentation, though we have a technical segment. This is an effort to give you the full picture of certain scenarios, right? So let me share my screen and get into this. So what I was referring to, let me first explain to you, right? So if you look at the health drivers point of view, I have gone through W.H. Smith and I was trying to understand what are their top 10 drivers, health drivers. Not necessarily you need to look into all 10, but I asked for it for my detailed analysis. So when it's come to W.H. Smith, by the way, it's a retail chain. operated in more than 30 countries. So when you have a retail chain, these are the top 10 drivers, meaning these are the 10 factors which will decide the future of retail business. So passengers footfall, so how many passengers came into your outlet? Spend per passenger. So now passenger is coming, how much a passenger has spent being in your outlet, right? Product mix expansion. So to what extent you would be able to expand your products mix. Store expansion, like how many stores you have, whether you can expand or whether you have opened new branches. Like just think about in Sri Lankan context, Keels Super, Cargills, or maybe Apico, and global point of view, maybe Kmart, maybe Walmart, and the retail chain. So then tender wins and lease optimization. You know that all these outlets basically you don't have your own property. You leased out someone else's property and do the business. So when you do business in that particular location, you need to make sure you are getting the adequate return. Otherwise, that particular outlet or the branch is loss making, then it's not make sense, right? Then, of course, this part, I believe operational efficiency and cost control. So while you're making profits, you also need to make sure that you are basically managing your cost at a right level. Then working capital and cash flow, I think that you understand, do you have the right level of inventory, right level of debtors and creditors, and how about my cash flow? Do I have sufficient operating cash flow? Have I invested enough in cash flow in investments, so investing cash flow? And how is my financing side? Do I have a balance between equity and loan financing? Then the brand strength and strategic focus. Okay, the brand strength. W.H. Smith, by the name itself, it's very popular. If you're walking around different countries, when you get into airports, you will see in certain airports, like big airports, I would say, there must be at least one W.H. Smith outlet. And if you walk on the street of maybe some developed countries, especially UK and other developed countries, you will see W.H. Smith there, right? So that brand strength. Capital allocation and debt management, how you allocate your capital among different retail shops and capex and whatnot, and how you manage your financing. And lastly, but very much important, and this scenario, it's very, very important, investor confidence and market valuation. To what extent you create confidence in the hands or in the minds of an investor for them to come and invest or to keep their shareholding with your company rather selling out, right? And of course, your market valuation matters to position your retail chain in the share market, right? So these are these are the key drivers when it's come to retail business. Why I'm bringing this thing? Because as I told you, there's no point you focus on IFRSs without you knowing what are the key health drivers, at least, maybe not top 10, at least top 5. So whatever you do, you may be a finance professional in the corporate sector, you may be an auditor, you may be a regulator, you may be an observer. Doesn't matter what is your role. So without you knowing these health drivers, connecting the business story is kind of incomplete, right? So you need to be aware. So having said that, we will go through this one later on. But you know what has happened out of these 10 health drivers? These 3 health drivers got badly affected because of what has happened in W.H. Smith. Just imagine, just because of a single entry, just because of one entry, uh, the profit got overstated. And because of that, 3 health drivers got badly affected. One was the operational efficiency and cost control. Second was the working capital and cash flow. And third and very important and very sensitive one is the investor confidence and market valuation, because if you are going through the case, which I'm going to show you, there was a drop in 600 million sterling pounds market value because of this profit overstatement in a single day. It could be temporary, but when investors lose their confidence, it may not be temporary, it could be permanent, and it will convert into a different story altogether, where the company can even collapse. We have very known historical events where things started such a way, and those were dragging and those were improving, and at the end, what has happened? Those entities or the groups or the giants got collapsed, and now those are kind of case studies for us to study, right? Uh, as I told you, WH Smith is a retail uh, chain where they mainly sells books, stationeries, travel essentials, and nowadays they are into tech accessories and health and beauty. So whenever you go to airports, whenever you see WH Smith, you can see a different type of books, stationeries, travel essentials, and whatnot. They're operating over 30 countries, and the main head office is in UK. So yes, you will see those outlets in airports, railway station, high street, and key business unit like business malls, right? So business model largely depending on their negotiation with suppliers, because they're selling a different type of goods inventories, right? So they have to go and purchase those from suppliers. So what suppliers produce, they sell it at a margin. So dependence on suppliers is very much critical here, and because of that, they have different types of arrangement with suppliers that itself create this problem, what we are going to discuss today. So let me take some time with you. By the way, this is these two images, one from Changi Airport, Singapore, and the other one, Heathrow Airport, UK. So I have seen this W. Smith in Changi Airport. I believe those who have traveled UK, Singapore, and any other airports, you might have experienced similar thing. So let let us go through this video just to understand what has happened. By the way, while we're running this session, you can pose your questions through Q&A or chat options. Of course, after I have done the session, we can allow you to speak if you really want to, which we like to hear. Or you can use chat option or Q&A options to raise your questions. It could be about this session. It could be about your suggestion for us to take up in the future. All are welcome. So I'm going to play this video. Dinuk, are you there, Dinukar? Okay. I'm going to play. Tarushi, are you there? Okay, I'm going to play this video. If you feel that you're not hearing or you're not getting sound, you let me know.
W.H. Smith, the iconic British retailer known for its presence in high streets and travel hubs, is currently facing one of the most challenging periods in its recent history. The company has announced a major accounting error in its North American division, sending shockwaves through the market and causing its share price to tumble dramatically. Today, we're going to break down what happened, why it matters, and what this could mean for the future of W.H. Smith. Earlier this month, W.H. Smith revealed a £30 million accounting blunder that significantly overstated the profits of its North American operations. This miscalculation came from prematurely recognizing income from suppliers, particularly payments for promotional activities, before they were actually earned. The result was an inflated profit figure, which, once corrected, led to a sharp downward revision of the company's financial outlook. The revised figures are stark. WH Smith now expects full-year profits of around £110 million, down from the previously forecasted £140 million. In North America specifically, the expected profits have been adjusted from £55 million to just £25 million. This correction prompted investors to react decisively, and WH Smith's share price fell to £6.76 per share, wiping out approximately £550 million of the company's market capitalization. This kind of market reaction highlights the significance of accurate accounting and transparent reporting, particularly for a company with a substantial international presence. WH Smith emphasized that the accounting error is limited to its North American operations and does not affect its UK or other international businesses. However, the reputational impact and investor confidence issues cannot be underestimated. To address the situation, WH Smith has enlisted Deloitte to conduct an independent review of the accounting practices that led to the misstatement. This move is intended to restore confidence among shareholders and reassure the market that steps are being taken to prevent such errors in the future. Deloitte's review will likely focus on internal controls, reporting procedures, and the overall financial governance within the North American division. The reaction from analysts has been swift and critical. Many have pointed out that while WH Smith's UK business remains strong, reliance on international operations introduces risks that must be carefully managed. Comparisons have even been drawn to past corporate accounting scandals, emphasizing how quickly market perception can shift in response to financial missteps. Beyond the immediate financial implications, this accounting error raises broader questions about the strategic direction of WH Smith. The company has long been a staple in airports, train stations, and high streets, but expanding internationally, particularly into the North American market, comes with its own set of challenges. Ensuring accurate reporting and effective oversight across multiple markets is essential, and this incident underscores the importance of robust financial governance. Looking ahead, WH Smith's priority will be to restore investor confidence and stabilize its share price. Transparent communication, timely updates, and demonstrable improvements in internal controls will be critical. The independent review by Deloitte will serve as a benchmark for assessing whether the company can regain credibility and prevent similar issues from arising in the future. For investors, this event is a stark reminder of the volatility inherent in the stock market and the importance of corporate governance. While WH Smith's UK operations remain solid, reliance on international divisions for growth introduces risks that can have significant consequences if not properly managed. The next few months will be crucial in determining how the company navigates these challenges and whether it can reassure shareholders that its financial reporting is now reliable. In conclusion, WH Smith's recent accounting error and the resulting share price drop represent a major test for the company. The situation underscores the importance of accurate financial reporting, strong internal controls, and transparent communication with investors. How WH Smith responds to this challenge will not only affect its short-term market value, but also shape the long-term perception of the company in the eyes of shareholders and the broader market. As Deloitte conducts its review and WH Smith works to stabilize its operations, all eyes will be on how effectively the company can rebuild trust and secure its financial future. This is a pivotal moment for WH Smith, and its response will set the tone for the next chapter in its long-standing history as a leading retailer in the UK and abroad. Investors and market watchers alike will be closely monitoring developments, and the lessons from this incident will resonate far beyond the immediate impact on share price. WH Smith now has an opportunity to demonstrate resilience, reinforce governance, and restore confidence in its financial reporting. The coming weeks and months will...
Right. So that was exact scenario or the things happen at WH Smith, where I have taken from YouTube. So this is basically explaining everything what has happened. So before we move into, let's do the kind of summary of the case. What has happened actually? There was a 30 million profit overstatement. By the way, this is 31st August 2025. So their financial year in is 31st August. So this is, so basically the company has finalized their accounts 31st August 2025 for internal discussions and of course after the for the audit. So during information is not available, but definitely it's before the audit, I believe, because 31st August is too early to complete the audit. So I believe this is basically when they have announced their results to the market, and then only they realized that there was an overstatement. So whatever happened, it is in the public domain that there was a 30 million sterling pounds overstatement in the what you call their profit relating to American entity, right? American business line, and not necessarily the UK. And because of this 30 million overstatement, of course, when you show more profits, markets see that, and automatically market responds such a way the share price will increase, right? Because you are having healthy profits or more profits. But when you do the reversal, the same thing will happen, because the market will take it as, okay, the profit has come down by 30 million. So because of that, share price has decreased or declined by 42%, resulting 600 million drop in the market capitalization. So you know what is market capitalization? Market capitalization means the total value of shares of your company in the stock market. How it is calculated? Number of shares listed into a market price per share. So 600 million pounds decline in the market capitalization. That's a very serious issue. It could be temporary, as I told you. It will all depends on how investors like to make up their mind after Deloitte has done this review and after revealing what has actually happened, right? So why this is very much interesting or very much important? This is not the first time that the globally we have heard this type of issues. The one of the very famous case was 𝐑𝐄𝐻 in 2014. They had the similar kind of a issue, 326 million overstatement in their profit because of recognizing revenue prematured. So because of that, it is very much important, because now you have a past case. This not only 𝐑𝐶o, it could be Wells Fargo, it could be Arthur Andersen, it could be Clarion, it could be any other scandal that we have heard in the past. I'm not referring this is as a scandal, but this could be a kind of early sign until we get to know what has happened. So we can discuss during our session also what are the possibilities, right? Rather jumping into saying this is a kind of a intentional act. But what I'm trying to say, these flags were there in the past also, so need to be very much careful, right? Okay, now what has happened here was like the way they explain. Basically, this W. Smith has a kind of an arrangement with their suppliers to enjoy some rebates, incentives, and discounts. And also, I believe they also have some activities with the suppliers where WH Smith do promoting the supplier's product. Now you go to retail outlet, you will see different brands are there. ඒ brands වලට අයිති products එතන තමයි තියෙන්නේ. අපි ඊවට gondola. I think the Sri Lanka, when I was doing retail, like 𝐸𝐿 support it, I heard the name gondola. So you have a separate designated shelf allocated for different brand, for different suppliers. So those are kind of indirect promotions by the retailer. So not just rebates or discounts what you're getting for your purchases. On top of that, retail outlets also promote suppliers by having designated places. So I believe they have both the arrangements, even though this may be purely on rebates. So what has happened now? Now your supplier come and say, look here, Gerard. Okay, if you meet certain purchase targets for the year, I will give you some rebates, meaning I will deduct a percentage of purchase price from you, so you are getting some benefits. Let's say, for example, maybe the arrangement like this. Okay, if you hit 1 million units per year, I will give you 10% rebate, meaning let's say per unit price is 100. So if you hit 1 million number of unit purchase for the year, rather you pay 100, you will pay only 90 to me. So you are getting a kind of a 10 rupee benefit. So that is a kind of a rebate. So if that is the case, you have a reduction in your cost, right? So that's one way. And the other way is like they may have an arrangement to say, look here, if you meet the target, okay, you're supposed to promote our products by displaying our brands and whatnot in your retail chain. So you're doing promotion for us, so we need to pay you something. So we are not paying, but what we do is, if you when you purchase, we will give you some discounts which represent the consideration that we need to pay for you for the services that you're providing. So the first one is a purely purchasing. You're just purchasing and you get some discounts or the reduction in price. The second arrangement is you're purchasing, and for that purchase, you are getting some incentives or discounts to set off against the services that you're providing, the customer providing. What customer is providing? Promoting supplier's product, having the different brandings and whatnot. So WH Smith may have the mix of both, or maybe one side, but by the looks of what they have disclosed in the public domain, this is more towards the first arrangement, the rebate, like where you purchase and you get some discount. But we're going to discuss all these angles. We don't necessarily need to stick to WH Smith. We'll discuss all possibilities. Then you will get the full picture, right? So if I may recap this part in Sinhala before we move into the next segment. Okay, අපි කතා කර ඉන්නේ WH Smith කියන කේස් එක. අපි මුලින්ම කතා කරා ඔයගලන්ට අපි මොන ප්‍රොෆෙෂන් එකක කෝපරේට් සෙක්ටර් එකේ මොන ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ මොන ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක අපි හිටියත් අපි මාකටිං වෙන්න පුළුවන්, HR වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ෆයිනෑන්ස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපි ආයතනයේ හෙල්ත් ඩ්‍රයිවර්ස් මොනවද කියලා දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕන. තව දේවල් දැනගන්න ඕන. අපි කතා කරමු. of course හෙල්ත් ඩ්‍රයිවර්ස් දැනගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා අපේ බිස්නස් එකේ මොනවද වෙන්නේ? what is this company is all about? company ගැන දැනගන්න ඕන. so මේ හෙල්ත් ඩ්‍රයිවර්ස් දැනගන්න ඕන. හෙල්ත් ඩ්‍රයිවර්ස් දැනගන්න ඕනේ මොකද මේ හෙල්ත් ඩ්‍රයිවර්ස් තමයි මේ කම්පැනි එක කොච්චර කාලයක් දුවන්න පුළුවන්ද බැයිද කියලා තීරණය කරන සාධක. ඉතින් මේ හෙල්ත් ඩ්‍රයිවර්ස් ටික හරියට ඇදගෙන යන්න සපෝට් කරේ නැත්නම් බිස්නස් එක සක්සස්ෆුල් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. meaning ඔයා ෆයිනෑන්ස් ප්‍රොෆෙෂනල් කෙනෙක් විදිහට accounting standards apply කරලා ඒක කොහොමද account කරන එක ගැන හිතනව වෙන්න පුළුවන්, but simply thinking about what is your debit, what is your credit, what IFRS says, make a connect කරලා බලන්න ඕන health drivers එක්ක මේ health drivers වලට කොච්චර බලපෑමක් ඇති වෙනවද මම වැරදි දෙයක් කරොත් right හරි දේ උනත් මේ health drivers එක්ක තියෙන impact එක බලන්න ඕන accounting standards වල choices තියෙන්නේ මොනවද අපේ health drivers ටික ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න ගමන් IFRS apply කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා you have to apply what is says in the standard there's no second thoughts හරි හැබැයි accounting standards වල තියෙන choices select කරද්දී බලන්න ඕන අපේ company health drivers එක යන්න මොන choice එකේද යන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඉතින් WH Smith එකේ මොකද උනේ basically ඒගොල්ලන්ට තියෙනවා arrangements ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ suppliers ලත් එක්ක. ඒ කියන්නේ WH Smith එකේ තියෙන්නේ stock එකක් right එක stock තියෙනවා books වෙන්න පුළුවන් accessories වෙන්න පුළුවන් වගේ එක stocks තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ මොකද කරන්නේ? ඔකට මාජින් එකක් තියාගෙන අපි වගේ කස්ටමර්ස්ලාට විකුණනවා. අපි විසිට් කරනවා අපිට විකුණනවා. ඉතින් එතනදී සප්ලයර්ස් ගෙන් පර්චේස් කරද්දී සප්ලයි එකේ පැත්තෙනුත් අපිට පුෂ් එකක් සපෝට් එකක් දෙනවා. ඔයා certain purchasing targets meet කරොත් මම මාකට් එකේ මම විකුණන සාමාන්‍ය price එක නැතුව reduce කරපු price එකකට දෙන්නම්. ඒකට rebates කියන්න පුළුවන්, discounts කියන්න පුළුවන්. එතනින් එහාට ගියාම තව arrangements තියෙනවා retail chain එකේ suppliers ලත් එක්ක retail chain එක supplier ගේ brand එක promote කරනවා supplier ගේ brand එක අපි තුන් magazine එකක් කියලා LBO කියලා එතකොට LBO magazine එකට එයා වෙනමම display එකක් හදලා LBO කියන brand එක එතන logo එක place කරලා එතන LBO එකේ magazines ටික තියෙනවා එතකොට customer කෙනෙක් ආපු ගමන් එයාගේ ඇහැ ගිය ගමන් LBO කියන logo එක ඔළුවට picture වෙනවා promote වෙනවා ඒ ප්‍රොමෝට් වෙනකොට රිටේල් චේන් එකට ඒකට ගාණක් හම්බ වෙන්න ඕන සප්ලයර් ගෙන්. ඒතර සප්ලයර් මොකද කියන්නේ? හරි මම ඔයාලට ඒකට ගාණක් ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි ඔයා මගෙන් පර්චේස් කරන ඒවායින් මම ප්‍රයිස් එකෙන් ගාණක් අඩු කරන්නම්. අපි දෙන්න ඇග්‍රී වෙමු කන්සිඩරේෂන් එක කීයද කියලා. ඒ කන්සිඩරේෂන් එකට ඉක්වල් ගාණක් අඩු කරන්නම් කියලා. ඉතින් ඔය වගේ arrangements තියෙන්නේ. මේ arrangement එක වැරදි විදිහට apply කරපු නිසා 30 million overstatement එකක් වුණ එක ගැන තමයි කතා කරන්නේ. ඉතින් අපි ඩිස්කස් කරලා බලමු මොකක්ද ඇත්තටම වෙන්න ඕනේ මොකක්ද උනේ කියන එක. So I thought like we will have this session in few segments. So first segment was our introduction. Now the second segment we are going into the technical side, that is how to apply IFRS for this scenario. Third segment is the business lens. Okay, me scenario ke business side deka mokadda, how it affect to the business and what needs to be looked at from the business point of view. And third one is the next one would be the auditor and the regulator point of view, or what is really important. And the lastly, basically, what are the key messages we need to take out of this, right? So we spent some time here to understand what has happened. By the way, before having any confusion to you, now we know that this session is about revenue recognition, and we know the relevant standard is IFRS 15. If you are a Sri Lankan, it's SLFRS 15, right? So IFRS 15 is revenue from contracts with customers. Revenue from contracts with customers. Now, the question here is, okay, in this scenario, we are talking about WH Smith, and WH Smith apparently is the customer, and the supplier who provide goods is the seller. So, seller ke පැත්තෙන් බැලුවම තමයි revenue එක එන්නේ. So, in that case, IFRS 15 apply for the suppliers, not for WH Smith. Then why we are talking about IFRS 15 here? You got my point? So what I'm trying to say, now I am purchasing goods from suppliers, WH Smith. So if I'm doing purchase, it's not my revenue. So then why IFRS 15? IFRS 15 is for revenue. Okay. For information, when it's come to variable consideration, if it is a kind of supplier-related rebates, discounts, and incentives, which is connected to cost of sales, rather revenue, still IFRS 15 apply. IFRS 15 categorically mentioned that part, especially it's mentioned there. Secondly, IFRS 15 has an element or area to say amounts payable to customers. Amounts payable to customers. So think about here, if it is a kind of a promotional thing that WH Smith is doing for their suppliers, meaning there is something that is payable by supplier to WH Smith, meaning payable to customer. So customer is WH Smith. So WH Smith supposed to get some consideration from their suppliers because they are promoting suppliers brand. So these two cases, IFRS 15 is applicable. Hello? Yeah. Hello? So let's take up any question at the end. So I'm not going to look at the chat option for now, but if any technical issues, please you can flag it to me. Because otherwise it's a kind of distraction, right? So let's take up any question at the end. I'm going to quickly give you some snapshot about IFRS 15 as it is, that's the relevant standard. So IFRS 15 is all about revenue. And as you know, in IFRS 15, when you apply IFRS 15, you need to follow a 5 steps model in the particular order. So any given arrangement, you need to analyze, you need to work out based on 5 steps. So first one is identify the contract. So standards has given you some criteria. So you need to look at whether my arrangement with customer has those criteria. If that's so, then it's a contract. Secondly, and most importantly, you need to identify separate performance obligations, meaning what promises I have committed to my customer. Is it a single promise or is it multiple promises? Or from the customer point of view, what are the expectations from customer by signing this contract with me? Whether he's expecting one single thing or whether he's expecting more than one single thing, then you have different more than one performance obligations. So that's why you need to identify separate performance obligation. Why it is important for you to identify separate performance obligation? Because this obligation may be satisfied at different timing, but you agree single price with the customer. Now I have a single price agree with the customer, but I have two promises to customer. One promise I will meet today, the other promise I will meet 1 month after, but it's a single price. Now the question coming in, okay, how can I recognize revenue? Today I have delivered something to him, so I'm supposed to recognize revenue. And after 1 month only I'm delivering something else, which is agreed. But I have only single price agreed with the customer. But it's different timing. I can't say I should recognize everything today. That is wrong. And I should not wait until end of this month to recognize total revenue just because second obligation will satisfy after 1 month. That is also unfair because you have satisfied part of the obligations now. So you're supposed to recognize some revenue. So that's why you need to identify separate performance obligations to have more clarity, to have better understanding when to recognize revenue. And third step is determine transaction price. So that's where our session goes today. Determine transaction price. Now, if the contract has the price straightforward, you don't need to worry about what is my transaction price. Meaning, අපි contract එකක් customer එක sign කරනකොට කස්ටමර්ට කියනවා නම් මෙන්න මේවා තමයි මම වාට පොරොන්දු වෙලා තියෙන දේවල් මෙන්න මේ වෙලාවට තමයි මම ඒක ඉෂ්ට කරන්නේ හෝ කස්ටමර් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ and ඒකට යන total price එක ඒකට මට ගෙවන්න ඕන total ගාණ මේකයි කියලා agreement එකේ කියලා තියෙනවා නම් ඒක very clear නම් then you don't need to worry about determining transaction price because it's given. Then why this is called as determined transaction price? එක determined transaction price කියලා තියෙන්නේ හැම arrangement එකක්ම contract එකක්ම customer එක්ක very straightforward නැහැ. සමහර arrangements වල තියෙන certain clauses, certain understanding නිසා you will have a question about what is my transaction price. So the few things which are very clearly impact determining your transaction price are as per the standard, whether you have a significant financing component. ඒ කියන්නේ transaction price එක ඇතුලේ significant financing component එකක් හැංගිලා තියෙනවද? Let's take for example, I have signed a contract with a customer. Customer මට payment එක අද කරනවා, payment එකෙන් භාගයක් හෝ full ගාන අද කරනවා. හැබැයි promises ටික deliver වෙන්නේ maybe after 6-7 months. Now the question comes in, මට අද සල්ලි හම්බ වෙච්ච එක මට revenue කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඇයි? මම තව මාස 6කින් තමයි promise එක deliver කරන්නේ. එතකම් මේ සල්ලි මංගාව තිබ්බට මගේ පැත්තෙන් එළියට outflow එකක් ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ, inflow එක ආව විතරයි. right? ඒ කියන්නේ මේක මම ගිහිල්ලා FDA එක දැම්මොත් 6 month වලට මට interest එකක් හරි ගන්න පුළුවන්. right? ඒක එක පැත්ත. එතකොට මේක මට revenue කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන ප්‍රශ්නය. මොකද එතන financing arrangement එකකට මට තියෙනවා benefit එක. time value of money ගත්තොත් මටයි benefit එක because he has paid in advance. ඒකේ අනිත් පැත්ත ගත්තොත් let's say I have delivered the goods today. හැබැයි customer මට pay කරන්නේ තව මාස 9කින් විතර පස්සේ. කස්ටමර් තව මාස 9කින් විතර පේ කරන හින්දා මට cash flow issues ආව මට යන්න වෙනවා බැංකුවට ගිහිල්ලා ණයක් ගන්න වෙනවා. short term loan එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද මම දන්නවා මගේ කස්ටමර් තව මාස 9කින් තමයි මට පේ කරන්නේ, මට සල්ලි ඕන. So I have to go for a short term loan until I get money from my debtors. ඒ short term loan එකට මට interest එකක් ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. එතකොට ඒක revenue කියලාද ගන්නෙ නැත්නම් ඒක වෙන දෙයක්ද? right? ඉතින් ඕක තමයි significant financing component කියලා කියන්නේ. එතකොට ඒක transaction price එකේ කැලලක් වෙනවද නැද්ද කියන question එක. Secondly, the variable consideration, which is what we are going to discuss today. Meaning, customer and myself has agreed a price, which is a fixed price, and on top of that, customer come and say, if you meet this and that, I will give you extra payment. Right? Customer කියනවා ඔයා certain conditions or criteria meet කරොත් මම මේ agree වෙච්ච ගාන වගේම තව percentage එකක් නැත්නම් තව x dollars ඔයාට pay කරනවා. හැබැයි meet කරොත් right? ඒ conditions meet කරොත් මම ඔයාට ගාන ගෙවනවා. Classic example, let's say it's a construction project. 2-year contract construction project එකක් යන්නේ. අද agreement එක sign කරනවා. තව අවුරුදු දෙකක් යනකොට තමයි project එක ඉවර වෙන්නේ. අද sign කරනකොට කියනවා look here, this is what your fixed price, but ඔයා හරියටම මාස දෙකේ අවුරුදු දෙකෙන් මේ project එක ඉවර කරොත් මම ඔයාට bonus එකක් දෙනවා. Now you have a question, අවුරුදු දෙකෙන් මම මේක ඉවර කරොත් මට bonus එකක් හම්බ වෙනවා, ඒකත් මගේ revenue නේද? but මට ඒක අද account කරන්න ඕනද නැද්ද කියන එක. standard එකේ very clearly තියෙනවා those called as variable consideration. So you need to give a thought whether you take that variable consideration into account from today onwards. දැන් අවුරුදු දෙකකට පස්සේ තමයි ඇත්තටම හම්බ වෙන්නේ. but ඒක estimate කරලා අද අරගෙන revenue විදියට account කරනවද නැද්ද කියන එක සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න කියලා standard එකේ කියනවා. So variable consideration is very tricky, right? Let's discuss more because our discussion today is more towards variable consideration. And the other element also connected to this, amount payable to customer. Marketing වෙන්න පුළුවන්, promotions වෙන්න පුළුවන්, slotting වෙන්න පුළුවන්, branding වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Let's say for the supplier කෙනෙක්නේ අපිට service එක දෙන්නේ, අපි customer අපිට දෙන්නේ කෙනා supplier. එයා ඒ service එක දෙනවා වගේම එයාට මමත් service එකක් දෙනවා. එයා මට දෙනවා service එකක්. ඒ service එකට connect වෙච්ච තව service එකක් මං එයාට දෙනවා. So customer giving some services to his supplier, where the supplier also providing some services to me. So meaning supplier point of view, it's a main contract එක එයාගේ revenue. එයා ප්‍රයිස් එකක් ඇග්‍රී වෙලා තිනවා ඒක රෙවෙනියු. but එයාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් එනවා හරි මගේ agreement එකේ I have done an agreement with the customer to say 1 million for my services, but he also provided me some sort of services and his service වල consideration එක මේක. එහෙනම් මගේ revenue එක වෙන්න ඕනේ අර 1 million minus එයාට දෙන ගාණ නේද මගේ revenue එක කියලා. So on the space of contract transaction price 1 million කියලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, but if you have anything payable to your customer you need to take it out and the rest will only be revenue. So ඒක නිසා තමයි මේ determine transaction price කියන එක complicated. So once you determine your transaction price, now you have one price which is determined, and you have more than two obligations which are fulfilled at different timing. Now you have to allocate that transaction price, that single transaction price you should allocate to these separate performance obligations in a kind of a mechanism. So standard එකේ කියනවා when you allocate single transaction price to different performance obligation ගිහිල්ලා බලන්නේ ඒවැ standalone price එක මොකක්ද කියලා. Let's say for example say you have two performance obligations. Let's say I will take a classic example. I have signed up a contract with a telecommunication company where I will go for a 2-year contract to for the SMS voice and data service එක, mobile service එක, and telecommunication company එක agree වෙලා තියෙනවා they will provide me a handset at the very beginning. මම 2-year package එකට ගියොත් මට free handset එකක් හම්බ වෙනවා and 2-year මට voice data SMS use කරන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි මේ package එක price කරලා තියෙන්නේ okay මාසෙට you pay me let's say you pay me 3,000 rupees per month over 24 months, right? 24 months. Now a question coming in, how many obligations are there from the seller's point of view, telecommunication point of view? So there are clearly two obligations. One is to provide the free handset. Second is to provide data, voice and SMS over 2 years subject to whatever condition. Right? So two performance obligation. Now single price 3,000 per month over 24 months is 72,000, right? 72,000, right? 72,000. Now ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. දැන් මේ 72,000 revenue එක අද මම recognize කරගන්නවද? නැත්නම් monthly billing එක 3,000 monthly මම 3,000 ගානේ revenue කියලා recognize කරගෙන යනවා. So you are thinking more towards the second, right? Makes sense, no? 3,000 monthly bill karna, more revenue ka recognize karna. But then what about the free handset? Even though that comes as free, that should also have a kind of a revenue that company is getting, because ඔය bundle කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ free දෙනවා නෙමෙයි, ඒක promotional activity. We all know that, right? So in that case you understand okay free handset කියන handset එක අද customer ට දෙනවා, ඒ කියන්නේ handset එක අද sell කරනවා, so there must be some revenue today to represent the handset, the separate performance obligation of providing the handset, and monthly service provision of SMS voice and data, it's a monthly billing, that's monthly revenue එක recognize කරනවා. But I have 3,000 into 24 months 72,000 මම කොහොමද මේක කරන්නේ කියලා. So standard එක කියනවා okay for you to separate 72,000 into two performance obligation, go to the market and ask what would be the market price or the standalone fair value of the free handset. මම handset එක විතරක් ගත්තා. මම package එකකට යන්නේ නැතුව bundle කරපු මේ contract එකට යන්නේ නැතුව මම handset එක විතරක් මිලදී ගන්න ගියොත් market එකට ඒකේ price එක කීයද? මම handset එක එපා කියලා service එක විතරක් ගන්න ගියොත් service එකට යන total 2 year value කරන මේ service එකට value එක කීයද? ඕකට තමයි කියන්නේ standalone price එක කියලා. දැන් ඔය දෙක අරගෙන ඕකේ percentage එකේ base එකට අර 72,000 කියන මගේ transaction price එක reallocate කරලා handset එකට revenue එකකුයි monthly service එකට revenue එකකුයි allocate කරන්න ඕන. Then the fifth step is you recognize revenue when you satisfy the performance obligation. In our example, handset එක අද දෙන්නේ customer ට satisfy කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් handset එකට allocate කරපු revenue එක today, monthly service SMS voice and data over 24 months monthly තමයි customer consume කරන්නේ. පස්වෙනි මාසේ revenue එක අද book කරන්න බෑ. අද මේ මාසේ උරුණාම මේ මාසෙට විතරයි bill කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේ remaining revenue, that transaction price that you have allocated for this 2-year service, you need to divide by 24 and monthly revenue විදිහට recognize කරගන්න ඕනේ. So in simple, that is what standard says, right? So I have given you kind of a snapshot about the standard because we all need to understand today discussion එකට connect වෙන්නේ කොතනද කියලා. So for you to understand other discussion එකට ප්‍රශ්නය උනේ step 3. So in other words, W Smith මේ 30 million overstatement එකට හේතු වෙච්ච ප්‍රධානම සාධකය තමයි step 3 එක IFRS වල step 3 එක හරියට follow කරපු නැති එක. Right? So you have not done it correct, so the rest will be wrong then. Okay? Right. So let's go a bit detail into variable consideration. As I told you, variable consideration කියන්නේ uncertain time එකක් තියෙන uncertain amount එකක්. ඔයා amount එක කීයද කියන එකත් exactly ඔයාට අද කියන්න බෑ. මේක කවද realize වෙයිද කියන එකත් question mark එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? මේක realize වෙනවද නැද්ද සහ කවද realize වෙනවද කියන එකත් question mark එකක්. and මොන amount එකට realize වෙයිද කියන එකත් question mark එකක්. හැබැයි standard එකේ කියනවා ඒ ප්‍රශ්න කොහොම තිබ්බත් variable consideration එක estimate කරලා දැන් transaction price එකට ඒක ගන්න අරගෙන revenue recognition එකට ගන්න කියලා. Subject to certain things. So now you have a challenge, right? Contract එකේ කියනවා අපි පරණ එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම අපි W Smith එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම contract එකේ කියනවා okay, now this is 31st August 2025. Let's say contract period beginning 1st September 2024. So 1st September 2024 to 31st August 2025. 1st September 2024, you know that mage annual target එක purchase volume එක 1 million units. Agreement එකේ කියනවා ඔයා 1 million units reach කරොත් මම ඔයාට sales price එකෙන් 5% deduction එකක් දෙනවා. Right? Now, meaning throughout the year applicable. ඒ කියන්නේ 5% discount එක ඔයා purchase කර හැම එකටම applicable. So now you are in 1st September 2024, you know that if you hit 1 million target by 31st August 2025, you will get 5% discount for whatever purchases you have done during the year. So 1st September, definitely number of unit purchase is 0 because the day 1. Let's imagine now you are in, let's say, January end, 31st January 2025. So you look at September, October, November, December, January. 5 months gone. So ideally, now you look at number of units you purchase. Let's say you have reached some 40% of the target. Let's say 400,000 units you have purchased. Now you ask the question again. මම 400,000 units අරගෙන තිනවා ජනවාරි end එක වෙනකොට. ඒ කියන්නේ September, October, November, December, January 5 months. 5 months වල 400 units ගත්තා. Now 7 more months to go. මම 1 million hit කරයිද? So standard එක කියනවා ඔයා 1 million hit කරයිද නැද්ද කියන එක assess කරලා January end එකේ you need to identify part of whatever your variable consideration now කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා එක වෙයි කියලා හිතන්නේ කවද එදා ඉඳන් ඒක books වලට ගන්න ඕන කියලා. So you know how challenging it is, right? How you can predict your future when there are a lot of uncertainties, right? Because just imagine like now, hari, අපි තුමු 600 ගත්ත කියලා 5 months වල January අග වෙනකොට you have purchased 600,000 units. මාස පහක් යද්දි 600,000 ගත්තා නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් මම ඉතුරු මාස හතේ 1.2 million 1.3 million විතර කරන්න පුළුවන්. Then I can think of I will get this variable consideration කියලා. But there's another concern you need to think about, how my retail sales works. මම ටාගට් එක මීට් කරයිද කියන එකේ මාස 5කට ගත්ත යුනිට්ස් ගන්න නෙමෙයි මේ මාස 5 peak months තිබ්බනම් ඒ කියනවා වැඩිපුර purchase කරනවා. But rest of the 7 months, if you have more non-peak rather peak, then you customers will not buy more goods and you won't purchase more. then එතන question එකක් එනවා ඇත්තටම මම මේ target එක hit කරයිද කියලා. So you can understand the practical challenges you have, and you being an accountant isolated you can't do this. Now if you meet the target or not, I don't think finance people can decide. At least you need to talk to your CFO, your CEO, or maybe the production people or the outlet people. ඔගලන්ගේ යන විදියට ඔගොල්ලෝ කොච්චර වොලියුම් එකක් කරයි කියලා හිතනවද? ඒ ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් ගන්න ඕන, right? So what I'm trying to say, when you have variable consideration, it's always challenging. Number one, what it says, when you have variable consideration, you need to make a reasonable estimate and then you need to take it. So when you do reasonable estimate, a standard has given you two approaches. Either you go for expected value method or the most likely approach. මම පොඩි උදාහරණයක් දෙන්නම් ඒක එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරන්න. අපි තුමු the same construction project එක 2 years project supplier කියනවා ඔයා customer කියනවා ඔයා වෙලාවට මගේ project එක meet කරොත් I mean 2 years වලින් ඔයා complete කරොත් හරියටම project එක මම ඔයාට additional 200,000 දෙනවා as a bonus. Now if that is the case, he said nothing. He said if you complete the project by the end of second year, I will give you 200,000. Then ඒකේ වෙන්න පුළුවන් possibilities මොනවද? Either you will complete by the end of second year or you won't complete. If you don't complete, you won't get 200,000. If you complete, you will get 200,000. එතකොට outcomes තියෙන්නේ දෙකයි. Yes or no, met or not met. ඒකට අපි කියනවා most likely method කියලා. එහෙමනම් arrangement එක තියෙන්නේ you need to follow most likely, meaning ඔයා අහන ඔයාගෙන් දැන් මොන පැත්තටද බර? මං අද ඉඳන් බැලුවොත් එහෙම මම මේක අවුරුදු දෙකකින් ඉවර කරන පැත්තටද බර? එහෙනම් ඒ පැත්තට නම් බර මට මේ variable consideration එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. right? කොයි පැත්තටද බර කියනකොට 51% කියන එක නෙමෙයි, more than 50 කියන්නේ අනිත් පැත්තට යනවා කියන එකනේ අපි කියන්නේ, right? But make a standard you should be you should make a call whether it's highly probable. Highly probable කියන එක බලන්න ඕන. Highly probable කියන එක කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් 70-80% වගේ percentage එකක් ගැන සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කතා කරනවාට 70-80% වගේ confidence එකක් තියෙනවද ඔයා අවුරුදු දෙකෙන් මේ project එක ඉවර කරනවා කියලා. එහෙමනම් ඔයාට ඒ bonus component එක අරගෙන ඔයාට revenue එකට යම් mechanism එකකට ඒක ගන්න පුළුවන්. මම ඒක පස්සේ කතා කරමු. Let's say ඒ arrangement එකම මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. Let's say 2-year contract bonus එකක් දෙනවා. If you complete 3 months before the 2 years actual completion date, that is after 2 years, 3 months advance කරොත් එහෙම මම ඔයාලට 200,000 දෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මාස 3ක් කලින් ඉවර කරොත් 200,000. If you complete 2 months in advance, I will give you 100,000. If you complete 1 month in advance, I will give you let's say 80,000. If you complete on time, I will give you another 25,000. Right? Now you see, well, 200 ගනීද 100 ගනීද 50 ගනීද 80 ගනීද 25 ගනීද ප්‍රශ්නයක්, right? Because there are multiple outcome, multiple possibilities. Standard එකේ කියනවා when you have multiple outcome possibilities, ඔයා අහන්න ඕන ඔයාගෙන් what's the probability of completing the project within 3 months? What's the probability of completing within 2 months, within 1 month, and on time? So take those percentages, apply to the related bonus, and get the weighted average number, and get the whatever multiplier, meaning let's say 3 months වලට කලින් project වලට ඉවර කරන probability එක let's say 30%. So bonus එක කීයද 200,000. So 200,000 into 30% is 60,000. Take that 60,000. Likewise do for the rest, and the total, that is weighted average amount, you consider as a variable consideration. Calculation එක එහෙම. Okay? I think we all most of you who has deal with variable consideration, calculation is not difficult. But what is difficult is how to build up those percentages. If it is most likely highly probable කියන එක establish කරන්නේ කොහොමද? That's the biggest challenge. One challenge. Secondly, if it is expected value method, how you build up probabilities for different scenarios, right? 3 months වලට කලින් ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන් එක 40%. කොහොමද 40% කියලා කියන්නේ? What is your basis? That is number one challenge. Number two, standard එකේ කියනවා be careful if you apply variable consideration as part of your revenue. If you recognize variable consideration as part of your revenue, make sure down the line you won't reverse it. Meaning other variable consideration කියලා revenue එක ගත්තට කමක් නැහැ. හැබැයි පස්සේ reverse වෙනවා නම් ඒක ගැනත් සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න ඕන. ඒක mean එක you are not allowed to recognize any variable consideration which you may feel that you may have to reverse down the line. If you have to reverse down the line, you should not recognize that variable consideration. You have to wait until you are confident that there won't be any reversal. I think methanol reversal like up there, right? So let's dig into and understand, right? Okay. So now, having understood that is variable consideration. So I have given you a kind of snapshot about IFRS 15 and the relevant areas variable consideration. And the next one is interesting. Those who have studied IFRS 15, you know that when it's come to revenue recognition, you can recognize revenue either over time or point in time, right? Now go back to variable consideration story. And let's say if it's a construction project, the one I explained with bonus, අපි දන්නවා most likely, most of the time, construction projects වල revenue recognition එක overtime. I mean, by default, it's not overtime. Okay, standard එකේ කියනවා there are some 3 criterias that you can recognize revenue over time. එක criteria එකක් හරි meet වෙනවා නම් ඔයාගේ arrangement එකේ you can recognize revenue over time. So construction contracts, sometimes they meet the third criteria, then you can recognize revenue over time, meaning you can apply a completion percentage. Now, let's say a monkey for 2-year project taker. Now you have 1 million is the fixed price. On top of that, you have a 200,000 bonus. If you follow most likely approach, let's follow most likely approach. ඒක කියනවා ඔයා 2 years වලින් හරියටම project එක ඉවර කරොත් ඔයාට 200,000 හම්බ වෙනවා නැත්නම් මුකුත් නැහැ. Let's say first 6 months has gone, you assess whether you can complete within 2 years, 1.5 years to go නේ. එතකොට හිතනවා too early. තව බෑ කියන්න තව අවුරුදු එකමාරක් යන්න ඕන. Let me not touch 200,000 bonus. මම දැන්ට තාමත් touch කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ මාස 6 revenue එක වෙන්නේ මම මාස 6 කොච්චර project එක ඉවර කරාද ඒ ඉවර කරපු percentage එකට fixed price එක 1 million නේ fixed price එක ඉවර කරා හෝ නැතා හෝ අවුරුදු දෙකෙන් මට 1 million හම්බ වෙනවා. අවුරුදු දෙකෙන් ඉවර කරොත් විතරයි bonus එක හම්බ වෙන්නේ. අර 1 million කොහොමත් හම්බ වෙන නිසා මාස 6 දී මම බලනවා මට මේ bonus එකට යන්න පුළුවන්ද බැයිද කියලා. තව අවුරුදු එකමාරක් යන්න තියෙනවා bonus එක meet වෙන්න තැනට යන්න. අවුරුදු එකමාරක් කියන එක ලොකු කාලයක්. මාස 6 ඉඳන් බලනකොට ඉතින් මට දැන්ට call එකක් ගන්න බෑ. මම හිතනවා නෑ මම bonus එක ගැන දැන්ට හිතන්නේ නෑ. මගේ agriculture revenue එක 1 million. I have completed some 20% or 25% as of 6-month period. So 25% of 1 million I will recognize as revenue. That is overtime, by the way. So let's say after 1 year and 3 months, right? 1 year and 3 months, you see you have completed 65% of the project. Completion stage එක බලවම 65% complete කරලා another 9 months to go to complete 35%. Now you feel මේ යන විදිහට මට මාසයක්වත් කලින් project එක ඉවර කරගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා මට හිතෙනවා. එහෙමනම් bonus එක මට හම්බ වෙන්න ඕන. Then I think after 1 year and 3 months, I believe දැන් මට මේ bonus එක count කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙනම් මම මොකද කරන්නේ? අද මම මේ 200,000 ගන්නවා මගේ remaining fix එක. අපිට fix එකේ මේ වෙනකොට 600,000 recognize කරගෙන කියලා. තව 400,000 remaining. ඒ 400,000 වලට අර බෝනස් 200,000 උත් අරගෙන ඒක ප්‍රොපෝෂනේට්ලි ඉතුරු මාස ටිකට ඇලොකේට් කරගෙන යනවා percentage of completion අනුව. හැබැයි ප්‍රශ්නය තියෙන්නේ if you do not meet that 2-year criteria, then whatever you have recognized progressively as bonus out of 200,000, you have to reverse at the end of the year. So that's a killing, no? I mean, that's a killer. Meaning, if you are in corporate sector, if you are an auditor even, and if you are a person who understand the people's emotions and expectations and whatnot, let's imagine you being the finance person, you go and say, look here board, look here directors, look here chairman, අපි revenue එක කියලා recognize කරගත්ත bonus එක 200,000 අපිට ඒක meet කරගන්න බැරුණා දැන් ඔන්න reverse කරන්න වෙනවා කියලා. So you can understand what I'm trying to say. They are not happy, right? They don't like to hear those things. Reversal of revenue, no one like to hear, right? So you need to be very mindful when you apply variable consideration, when to apply. හැබැයි ඒක කියලා you can't do this way also. මම මේක ඉල්ලගෙන කන්නේ I'll wait until the project completes. මම අවුරුදු දෙකකින් ඉවරනොත් මට කොහොමද 200,000 හම්බ වෙනවනේ. අවුරුදු දෙක ඉවරනාට පස්සේ මම බුක් කරලා දානවා. So you might go that way. That is also wrong. Or you might say, okay, I feel that I can complete project within 2 years, but on a conservative approach. The word conservative. අපි මේ conservative කියන එක හොඳ පැත්තට use කරන ඕනම දෙයකට use කරගන්න. On a conservative approach, I will not go for bonus. හරි conservative කියන එක හොඳ දෙයක්. But ඔයා ඒක good faith එකෙන් නම් ඒ conservative එක follow කරේ no problem. But if you have done that conservative thing intentionally to postpone recognizing revenue, postpone recognizing profit, මොකද revenue එක වැඩි වුණොත් එහෙම incentive ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ අවුරුද්ද revenue එක වැඩියෙන් පෙන්නොත් ඊළඟ අවුරුද්ද revenue එක අඩු වෙනවා. ඒකද ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දට ඒක තියමු කියලා පොඩ්ඩක් reserve කරලා තියන් ඉන්නවා නම් those are not conservative. Those are creative accounting, right? Conservative හොඳයි, but creative accounting bad. From the other side, variable consideration එක recognize කරගත්තා නම් reverse කරන්නත් බෑ. Okay, that's also need to understand. So we discuss over time. So point in time කියන්නේ that is what exactly relevant for WH Smith's case එකේ. Point in time එක කියන්නේ මට ඉන්න වෙනවා මගේ obligation එක deliver කරනකන් satisfy කරනකන් revenue එක recognize කරගන්න. So WH Smith එකේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? එන කස්ටමර්ට මම goods විකුණනවා. ඉතින් යාට විකුණුවොත් විතරයි මට revenue එක recognize කරගන්න. progressive recognize කරනවා කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ. So ඒ වගේ වෙලාවක variable consideration එක you have to recognize only up to the level of sales that you have done, right? අපි තමු 1000 units වලට rebate එකක් දෙනවා 5%. අද August 31st අද බලනකොට 1 million target එකෙන් 700,000 meet කරලා. Okay. Jan to December, okay? Agreement එක let's say Jan to December 1 million units produce කරන්න ඕන, මේ purchase කරන්න ඕන 5% rebate එකක් හම්බ වෙනවා Jan to December. By end of August, September, October, November, December, after 8 months. After 8 months, you have done 700,000 or 800,000. Let's say 800,000. You have done 800,000 units of purchase. මම මාසාටට 800,000 කරා අනිවාර්යෙන් මම මේ 1 million ඉතුරු මාස හතරට මට ලක්ෂ 2යි ගන්න තියෙනවා. අනිවාර්යෙන් මම මාස හතරේ ලක්ෂ 2 purchase කරනවා. ඒක නිසා මගේ total 5% incentive එක දැන් apply කරනවා. No. Standard එකේ කියනවා ඔයා point in time sale එකක් නම් කරන්නේ you can recognize revenue only up to the level of performance obligation you have satisfied to the date. So අද වෙනකොට මම performance obligation satisfy කරලා තියෙන්නේ 800,000 units and it is highly probable I will get the incentive. That's a different story. Now because you have met 800,000 units, you can reasonably establish that you will get the incentive. It doesn't mean you can apply total incentive now. You can apply only up to the level of unit that you have sold today, purchased today, that is 800,000 units. Right? So that is what exactly went wrong in WH Smith. ඒගොල්ලෝ අද වෙනකම් purchase කරපු unit ගන්නට recognize කරගන්න නැතුව variable consideration එක full year එකේ variable consideration එක recognize කරා ඒ වැඩ තමයි කරලා තියෙන්නේ. That's why they had to reverse. Right? So point in time now, as I told you, it's not complicated then. You understand variable consideration for overtime, it's complicated because you have to decide now and you have to percentage wise you have to allocate කරගෙන යන percentage wise හැබැයි ඒක meet උන්නේ නැත්නම් reverse කරන්න වෙනවා. But point in time කියන්නේ especially retail sector එකේ හෝ ඒ වගේ purchase of goods වලට බලපාන්නේ point in time වල කියන්නේ what's the level of obligation. First ask whether you can meet the criteria set for the variable consideration. 1 million hit කරන්න මට පුළුවන්ද? පුළුවන් වෙච්ච දැන ඒක highly probable කියන තැනට එන්න ඕන. Highly probable කියන තැනට ආවට පස්සේ you need to ask the question, okay, I will get the bonus or rebate. I know, but I am virtually certain. But you can't recognize 100% now. You need to ask, හරි මම 1 million ගන්නවා කියලා promise වුණා. මම 1 million ගත්තොත් විතරයි මෙයා මට මේ incentive එක දෙන්නේ, මේ 5% දෙන්නේ. ඒ 1 million මම hit කරයි කියලා මම දන්නවා. ඒ වුණාට මම තාම 800 නේ අරන් තියෙන්නේ, තව 200 ගන්න තියෙනවානේ. ඒක නිසා මම 800 වෙනකම් විතරයි මේ rebate එක apply කරන්නේ. ඊටු 200,000 වලට අදාළ rebate එක මම ඒක purchase කරාම මට apply කරන්න පුළුවන්. That is how you need to do. That is what went wrong at WH Smith, right? So what they have done was they basically got the incentive. They basically estimated that they will get this incentive or the rebate. Variable consideration එක ඒගොල්ලන්ට හම්බ වෙනවා කියලා establish කරා as of 31st August 2025. And ඒක establish කරපු නිසා the way it looks like they have recognized 100% of incentive rather asking, okay, out of the target, what's the amount of target I have met as of 31st August? Only that amount I should apply for my recognition as of 31st August කියන එක miss කරලා full amount එකම recognize කරා. That's what happened. So it is ideally rebates. Why I'm saying, I mean, the way it looks like it is ideally rebates. මොකද ඒක I went through their website. I believe you can see my screen. I went through their website. They have done a press release. A press release එකේ ඒගොල්ලෝ කියන 21st August they have done a press release to say update North America revised guidance. So North America එකේ තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ උනේ. ඒකේ මේගොල්ලෝ කියනවා, so they have explained what has happened. Okay, they're saying the group receives supply income in the form of supply incentives and discounts. These incomes are recognized as a deduction from cost of sale on an accrual basis as they are earned for the each supplier contract. As they are earned for each supplier contract. Very interesting and very important. So, if you hit 1 million, you are getting rebate, but you have not earned it. You have earned only 800,000 units. So, එතනට වෙනකම් විතරයි accrue කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතනින් එහාට accrue කරන්න බෑ කියන එකයි කියන්නේ. But unfortunately, what has happened, they have accrued in full, right? But they have recognized revenue for what they have not earned, or they have reduced their cost of sales for the units which they have not yet purchased, right? Not yet purchased. So that's what happened in WH Smith. Right? Okay. So let's look at the rest of the presentation. Right. So basically, because of that, there was a cutoff error. I mean, so whatever revenue or the deduction of cost of sale which should have been done in 2026 financial year, they have done in 2025, which resulted 30 million sterling pound overstatement in profit. And later they have encountered and they have reversed it. So because of that, you know what has happened. Market prices have declined by 42%. And as a result, their market capitalization went down by 600 million sterling pound. So what is very much important for you being financial professional, first, you need to understand what is said in the accounting standards. Secondly, you need to understand what business you are in and what's our arrangement is, what is our commercial arrangement is. And also, you need to make a reliable estimate, reliable judgment whether if there's any variable consideration, whether I will meet those criterias. If that is the case, need to ask the question to what extent I'm going to take that variable consideration into account and recognize as income or deduction in cost of sales. So those are very much important. Uh, that's where this went wrong, right? So what has happened because of that? Oh, of course, misstatement in financial statements because there's an overstatement of profit. It's a misstatement. Then distort margins. Now, overstatement mean you are showing higher GP margin. Cost of sale reduced, right, by 30 million, which should not be the case. Then, of course, your GP goes up. So you are distorting your margins, which will definitely not give a true picture about your cost minimization or the operational efficiency. And then you mislead your investors. You are saying, investor, hey man, we have made some good profit this year. And down the line, you come and say, sorry, we have to reverse some 30 million profits. So you're misleading your investors. So they have made some decision out of what you have published. So that's a kind of a wrong set of accounts or wrong set of information. And that will definitely hit your investors' confidence on you and the trust on the company and also the management of the company. So that's see one particular entry or one particular application of IFRS, wrong application of IFRS, where it ends up losing the trust or damaging the trust among the business community and investor confidence. So just Google it and see WH accounting scandal or accounting error. You will see how many articles you are getting, how many news you are getting. So it has gone all over the world. So that's not good. So that has gone all over the world just because wrong application of IFRS 15 variable consideration, right? So what are the health drivers got affected? We discussed this before also. Operational efficiency. Understated of cost of sales led to inflated margin, reflecting improved operational performance. So you are showing your cost of sales at a low number. People might think, you have improved your operational efficiency. So that's why cost of sales has go down. And working capital and cash flow, because your profit has gone up, your working capital level shows a good picture, right? And investor confidence, we know that 600 million impact in the market valuation of the company, which definitely is a real concern for investors. Just imagine you invested in WH Smith and you realize yesterday price was 100 per share and today price is 60 per share, 40% dropped. So that's not a good thing for you, right? Being an investor. And if that continues, just imagine the loss that you are going to make out of this investment, right? So those are the three critical ones which are affected, the health drivers affected because of this, and the others are kind of moderate effect. Uh, let's talk about the auditor's side also. Of course, if you are an internal auditor, you're an external auditor, or you are a corporate person, still the audit side also important for you. Now, one of the interesting thing came to my mind. Maybe you also have that concern. Now they have published this issue and saying that okay, as of cutoff date, there's a 30 million overstatement in profit. I was asking myself, WH Smith doing business for 100 years, right? So if any contracts with supplier existed as of 31st August 2025, why not those contracts existed as of 31st August 2024 also? So there is a question from the auditor's point of view. Is it an overstatement only in 31st 2025? Is it possible to have an overstatement as of 31st August 2024, which has not been detected? Right. This is a thought for auditor. I mean, when the Deloitte reports comes out, they might say, okay, look here, no problem in prior year. But I'm trying to give you the bigger picture. Being you are an open auditor, if you have been given this WH Smith case, I believe you need to ask this question. Okay, profit එක මේ අවුරුද්දේ overstate වෙලා ගිය අවුරුද්දෙත් overstate වෙලා තියෙන පුළුවන් නේද? Okay, then it's not a problem to investigate during current year review, but you also have to go back to the last year and ask the question, ඊක එහෙමද කියලා. Question එකක් එන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, if it's the same auditor last year they have said true and fair, you don't need to go and challenge. I agree to some extent. I disagree to some extent. I agree to some extent mean if a fair or reasonable or adequate audit has been conducted, performing all necessary audit procedures with a due care, yes, it makes sense to say that nothing has gone wrong in last year. But okay, what you're going to do this year to validate whether this 30 million overstatement is correct or whether it's more than 30 million, then ask the question, have you done that level of audit procedures last year also when you conclude on revenue or the cost of sales? If you have a kind of a question mark in your mind whether we have gone to that detail last year, then there's a kind of element remain. Okay, maybe last year also we had this thing but we haven't seen it. Okay, I'm just make it open. So auditor's point of view, you need to do your risk assessment. The first and foremost, that's what I raised, like whether it's possible for last year. So there are two critical audit risks I see. One is, of course, revenue recognition or the completeness of revenue, because there's a cutoff issue, right? And secondly, whatever estimates the client has done, whether it's reasonable. I mean, now this is related to purchase targets, right? So first question for you to ask whether this 30 million reversal is right. That is not the first question. I mean, if you are the auditor, if you go through the contract and do the calculation and come and say, look here, client, yes, you have done a 30 million overstatement, so you have reversed it. Okay, fine. Oh, look here, client, you said 30 million. No, it's not 30 million, it's 40 million. That's not the main thing. The main thing is to go and ask the judgmental call that the client has made as of 31st August 2025 to say that they will meet the target, whether it's right. Now, calculation එක කරන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා අහන්න ඕන මම මේ target එක meet කරයිද නැද්ද කියලා මට high probability එකක් තියෙනවද? Highly probable whether I will meet the target. දැන් target එක meet වෙනවා නම් විතරනේ calculations ටික එන්න ඕනේ. So you need to go and first ask මේ client judgment එකකට එන්නේ නැතිනේ මේක meet වෙනවා කියලා ඒකනේ මේ entry එක දාගෙන තියෙන්නේ. කොහොමද මෙයා මේක meet වෙනවා කියලා කිව්වේ? numbers වලින් මේක prove කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? නැත්නම් වෙන qualitative factors තියෙනවද? නැත්නම් numbers වලින් prove වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් මොන හරි supply එක ගහපු subsequent arrangements තියෙනවද purchase කරන්න ඒවෙන් මේක substantiate වෙනවද? මේ variable consideration එක මෙයාට entitled කියන තැනට evidence තියෙනවද? තියෙනවා නම් තමයි next step එකට යන්න ඕනේ. තියෙනවා කියන එක reasonable නැති වුණොත් there will be a bigger problem. Okay, we are yet to see that. I will be open being an auditor. So let's say reasonably you can establish that they are entitled for variable consideration. Then the question again to come in, you do the computation and you might come and say, look here, it's not 30 million, it's 40 million. එහෙම වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. Okay, so you need to be very open. And client මෙහෙම 30 million overstatement එකක් වුණා reverse කරාකම හැමෝම happy. accounting error එකක් වුණා මොකක් කරගත්තද දන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි මෙයා ඒක reverse කළානේ 30 million. එහෙනම් මේක හරියට කරලා ඇති නෑ. We never know, right? Maybe reversal එක ඊට වඩා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. හැමෝම happy කරන්න එක කරන්න වෙන්න පුළුවන්. I mean, being an auditor, you need to be very open. You know that. Okay? But you can't be certain. You can't be the person go to the client and think about මේ client මොන හරි fraud එකක් කරලා වැරද්දක් කරලා I am not satisfied. I am not happy. මම මෙයාව මෙච්චර confidence එකක් නැහැ. Let me look into now. You have to be open mind and you have to be 50-50, but don't just take what is on the piece of paper. Okay, so you need to be very mindful asking all these questions. And again, the මෙහෙම scenario එකකුත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? Now they have recognized whatever incentives or rebates entitled premature කියන්නේ කලින් recognize කරගත්ත කියලා කියන්නේ ඒක මෙහෙම ඒක දැන් ඒක interpret කරන්නේ to say that මේක ඊළඟ මාසවල මේක මීට් කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ ෆයිනෑන්ෂියල් ඉයර් එකේ නෙමෙයි ඊළඟ ෆයිනෑන්ෂියල් ඉයර් එකේ කියන්නේ සෙප්තැම්බර් ඔක්තෝබර් නොවැම්බර් වල මේක මීට් කරනවා. මේ ඊළඟ මාසවල මීට් කරන එක දිහා බලලා දැන් 100% recognize කරා කියන එක තමයි ස්ටෝරි එක විදිහට එළියට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. but ඒක මෙහෙම වුණාද දන්නේ නැහැ. okay, now you have done your purchases. I mean you have processed your POs and you have done your payments and whatnot. තාම goods ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ ඔයාගේ warehouse එකට. right, goods ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ ඔයාගේ warehouse එකට. හැබැයි ඔයාට invoice එක supplier ගෙන් අහපු නිසා ඔයා මේක වැරදියට purchase කියලා account කරාද දන්නේ නැහැ. right, වැරදියට purchase කියලා මේ account කරා target එකකින්ද meet වුණා, target එක meet වුණ හින්දා 100% rebate එක ගත්තා. right, say what I'm trying to say, let's say mama purchase order එකක් process කරා, let's say some x number of units, මට supply ගේ invoice එක හම්බුණා, goods තාම warehouse එකට හම්බෙලා නැහැ, මේක goods in transit කියලා වැරදියට interpret කරලා account කරාද කියන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ inventory එක debit කරලා purchases debit කරලා supplier credit කරාද, ඕ goods in transit කියලා debit කරලා supplier credit කරාද. එහෙනම් good in transit එකයි purchase එකයි දෙකේම එකතු වෙන්නේ target එකේ ඉන්නේ. එහෙම බැලුවම target එක meet වෙනවා, why not 100% rebates. එහෙම book කරාද දන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙමනම් එතන purchase එක book කරපු එකෙත් වැරද්දක් තියෙනවා. right, so I want to be very extreme in the scenario to give you more knowledge. So that's the kind of thing. So what being auditors you need to do? So I have given you most critical audit procedures. Being an auditor, what you should do. I mean, if you are the part of this Deloitte audit team, you're supposed to do these things. One is to review the contracts and understand what are the terms and conditions in the contracts and what is the arrangement exactly. Second, cut-off testing. Test a sample of transaction purchases made to the year end, close to the year end and after the year end, to see whether those have been accounted properly, and if it is a rebate related entry close to the year end, may rebate take a book කරේ හරියට back එකක් purchase වලින් backing එකක් තියාගෙනද cut off date එකේ. And of course, why not you ask supplier confirmation. You ask supplier confirmation, supplier ඔයාට pay කරන්න ඕන ගාන කීයද කියලා කියන්න, rebate එක කීයද entitled කියලා කියන්න කියලා. So you get the confirmation and you check with client records, and if there's a mismatch, there is a question, right? Then analytical procedures. ඔයා දන්නවා ඔයාගේ average rebate percentage එක කීයද කියලා clients ගේ agreements වල තියෙනවා. ඔයා purchases එක rebates ටික අරන් බලනවා, මේ average expected percentage එක meet වෙනවද, මේ trend එක කොහොමද, last year this year percentage wise trend එක කොහොමද, මේකේ fluctuations තියෙනවද, වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද. So those are very important one. And of course subsequent event review, whether there are subsequent payments of rebates to support what you have recognized. දැන් අද ඔයා cost of sales එකෙන් rebate කියලා ගානක් deduct කරලා තියෙනවා, supplier පස්සේ ඊළඟ මාසේ ඔයාට ගෙවලා ඊළඟ මාසේ ගෙවලා තියෙන එක entitled හින්දානේ. එහෙනම් ඒක හරි. අන්න ඒ වගේ කතාවක්. නැත්තම් ඔයා අද book කළා supplier දැන් මාස 3-4ක් වෙනවා තාම ගෙවලා නැහැ. question mark එකක්, why it is, right? So those are the few key audit procedures you need to do. Right? Regulators' point of view, I believe this is a kind of a starting. Of course, everyone will wait for this Deloitte audit or the review to see what has happened. But I believe there will be a separate review by either now this is a UK connected entity. UK we have Financial Retail Reporting Council (FRC) and you have Financial Controlling Authority, right? And of course, North America there must be some regulators. So I believe the regulators will be interested to review client records and maybe even after the audit to go through the audit file and see how auditors have concluded this matter, right? So we can see in the future what are the developments took place with this WH Smith's case, right? ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇහුවොත් මම මොකක්ද මේ ගැන හිතන්නේ කියලා. See, with the limited information, you know that no one can make a conclusion. But එක පැත්තකට, to be fair to client, එක පැත්තකට වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ එක clear cut answer ටාගට් එක මීට් වෙනවා කියන එක රීසනබලි එස්ටැබ්ලිෂ් කරා. ඒක බොහොම ෆේත් එකකින් good faith එකකින් එස්ටැබ්ලිෂ් කරා. හැබැයි වැරද්ද උනේ finance people හිතන්නේ නැති ටාගට් එක මීට් වෙනවා. ඒක නිසා why not I recognize 100% rebates. අර accounting pure accounting error එකක්, right? pure accounting error එකක්. ඒක anyway reverse කරන්න ඕන, but ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ judgment call එක first judgment call එක හරි. මේක මම meet කරන target එක. ඒක නිසා 100% recognize කරමු. what they left was missed was හරි. මම 99% certain කියමු මම මේක meet කරනවා කියලා. but target එකෙත් 90% meet කරලා කියමුකෝ. 90% meet කරාට balance 10% දැම්ම recognize කරන්න බෑ. balance 10% recognize කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක realize වුණාම විතරයි. අන්න ඔතන වරදින්නේ නැති සමහර විට. That's number one. Number two, it's more towards the forensic side or more towards manipulation. One can think of, okay, why not I sort of take the full incentive or the rebate now to show better performance to the market, to increase the share price one side, or to get my incentives, or to show that we have met our KPIs. Right, so of course they have been given KPIs, right? So that is creative accounting or manipulation. So those are kind of two scenarios, and I'm making that question also. May variable consideration එක meet කරනවා කියන එක highly probable කියන එක establish කරගන්න පුළුවන් වුණාද කියන ප්‍රශ්නෙත් I have that thing in my mind. As an auditor, I like to see that also. මේ variable consideration එක මට meet target එක meet කරයිද නැද්ද කියන එක first question එක කියන එකත් බලන්න ඕන කියන එක මගේ ඔළුවේ තියෙනවා, right? As a matter of concern from my end. So those are the things which I believe need to be looked into, being whether you are a finance profession or an auditor or a regulator, to see whether this has been properly looked at, right? One final thoughts, key takeaways for finance professional. Don't think that your job is just to record double entries, right? But please make sure you also go through the substance of the agreements or the transactions and record that. And from the auditor's point of view, when you have arrangement in your client, say, okay, auditor, we have supplier rebate arrangement or what you call a supplier sourcing arrangement. Then, or being auditors, you need to be very careful, because those arrangement comes with various terms and conditions, which involves critical judgments, estimates, and whatnot, which everyone can go wrong, to be fair, or can manipulate also, right? Regulators, students, or everyone's point of view always ask this question. Okay, they have made some good profit, but that get reflected through cash flow statements? Ask that question, meaning go to the cash flow. Your cash flow statement, operating cash flow, is more towards during the year cash in and out through operations. If your cash flow from operating activities and profit before tax or the profit after tax giving two different meaning, there is a question for you to ask. Okay, I am getting higher profit, but that is not reflected in operating cash flow. How come? So you need to ask that question. It is very much important. Overall, there are few things you need to keep in your mind when you get into your role as maybe an accountant, CFO, auditor, or regulator. First and foremost, you need to understand the business. The business acumen is one of the critical things. Second, when you understand the business, ask yourself what are the key health drivers which are connected to this business. Thirdly, come up with your analytical mindset. Do your analytics and ask the question whether this is possible, and do the relationship matching and ask the question where are the gaps, where are the sort of disconnection, right? And also, of course, you need to have good knowledge on IFRS and also common sense, right? So most of the problems you can resolve if you can apply your good common sense. So when you have all these things together, you will be a trusted advisor and you will not go wrong. So being future accountants, be a business partner, not a scorekeeper. That's what I was telling you now. And also make sure you're signing on the accounts. Okay, it could be a double entry you approve. It could be set of financial statement you are signing on the account. When you sign mean you make yourself accountable for whatever you have done, whatever company has gone wrong, you make yourself accountable. So that's not a good thing for you. And if you feel something going wrong in your company, you can nicely, professionally explain, you can share your views, you can explain the damage and whatnot. But if things are continuing still, being a good profession, why not you resign and say, go and find a good thing? I mean, what I'm trying to say, I don't want to relate this case such a way, but if these things happening because someone is giving you pressure, you do this and that, you can explain first, you can take some actions internally, but if the things are continuing, why you want to be that trusted advisor? That is not a trusted advisor, that is an advisor in a different meaning, unethical advisor, right? So better you leave the job. That's very courageous action from your point of view, because we are the guardians of truth to build up trust among stakeholders on the financial statements and the going concern or the sustainability of a company. Everyone look at uh, what financial people bring as numbers or out of the business stories. Everyone look at what auditors saying about those numbers. So auditors, so finance professional, we all are finance professionals. So bringing that trust is very much critical. Rather, you look for what you call short-term benefits or short-term gains, right? Closing reminders before we go for Q&A. IFRS is not just like reading and applying and do double entries. It's more than compliance. It's basically helping. It's a tool to help you run your business, right? When you talk truth, you will build up trust. So whenever you report the truth. So therefore, thereby you can build up trust among investors. And as I told you, our role is to be guardians of integrity. So always maintain, uh, whether you are joining from Sri Lanka or outside, you may be already a chartered accountant or any other professional body member or a senior member like FCA, FCMA kind of, or you are a student going into that journey to be a qualified chartered accountant. So always make sure if you do something wrong, you can admit and say, look here, I went wrong. So you may have to go for repercussion, punishment, and you may ask to go, or you may damage your reputation. But you can sleep well because you have done a mistake, not an intentional mistake, and you accept that it's a mistake rather hiding. You may not be able to sleep today, but after some time, you should be proud. You can proud yourself. I have always been on the truth side and I have maintained my integrity. So that conclude my session for you today, our first session. And we like to hear from you. If you do have any questions, we are very much happy to take. We can have some few minutes to get your questions, plus to hear from you. If you do have any other thoughts, definitely you can share your thoughts. Please, I got one question. Could you please explain some practice revenue recognition issues in a software development company's point of view? Okay. Of course, one is to ask the question whether your contract fulfill one of the criteria to recognize revenue over time or it is point in time. I mean, first and foremost, when to recognize revenue, whether it's over time or point in time. I mean, software development company, one might think by default it's over time, rather point in time. But you need to ask the question whether I am meeting one of the criteria to make this particular project to be entitled go as overtime recognition rather point in time. So standard has three criteria. First criteria is uh, if the customer enjoying what he's consumed, if the customer consume while you're performing, you can recognize revenue over time. That's number one. Second, while you are building the asset, if the customer can take the control over managing the asset, then you can recognize revenue over time. More towards software development side. Let's say now you are into an ERP development project where different modules need to be completed. So you are still in the building of that total ERP project, but let's say procurement model has been completed where you have given that module to customer for them to take the control and run live. So procurement module, they can run live, but the total project still going on. Meaning you have completed part of the project. In that case, you can apply that progress, the percentage of completion and recognize revenue, right? Third element, criteria is more towards what you call construction industry or the real estate, where you ask the first question, whether supplier or the seller has an alternative use out of the underlying asset. If it is yes, you can't recognize over time. If it is no, then ask the second question. If any default from the customer point of view, whether supply is able to claim or recover whatever amounts or the consideration that he's entitled to the date. Meaning, if there's a default, if the supplier can go and measure the percentage of performance he has completed up to the date of default and go and claim from the customer, then you can recognize revenue over time. I mean, you need to fulfill both the criteria in that case. No alternative use, you can claim your dues, then you can recognize over time. So one is that whether over time or point in time. Second is even software development company, how you determine the percentage of completion or the progress percentage. Can you simply follow your input method and go through the cost and compare total cost versus cost incurred and apply that percentage? Or you have to sit with your customer and discuss together and agree on a percentage of completion. So that's another challenge, right? Thirdly, in a software development company, I mean, this is applied for everyone, but let's say software development company, what's the possibility of contract going onerous? Meaning, what's the possibility of contract converting into a loss-making contract? Let's say software development project is going, it's a 2-year contract, and you have initially said this is revenue, this is the total cost. Of course, you should have a margin. That's business nature, right? But after 1 year, because of prices increase or any other internal or external factors, you realize when you now compare your revenue versus cost, you are suffering a loss. So in that case, immediately you need to make a provision for that loss, right? So that's another complication you need to be aware when you do the revenue recognition. Not just the revenue, out of revenue, if it is onerous contract, you need to make a provision for future losses, right? Those are the things come to my mind when it's come to software development project. Yes, from the revenue side, yeah. Let's see, any other question? Questions. Okay, we have done this one. Chat, okay. IFRS 15 for contracts with customer. Therefore, is that allowed to use IFRS 15 to recognize rebate and deduct rebates from cost of sales? A good question. I think we answered. Okay, you asking now. Good question. The question is IFRS 15 is contract with customers. Therefore, is that allowed to use IFRS 15 to recognize rebate and deduct rebates from cost of sales? Very smart question. We have answered yes. Under IFRS 15, I think paragraph 70 to 72, if I may recall, it says if you have a rebate arrangement with suppliers, and if that is connected to variable consideration, there that rebate is a kind of a amount, payable amount that you can deduct from your cost of sales, indirectly a kind of a revenue, because you're supposed to pay 1 million to your supply. Now you're paying only 800,000 because of rebate entitlement. So 200,000 benefits. So that benefits in a way kind of a revenue, but you're not recording as revenue. You deduct from cost of sales, still covered under IFRS 15. Can you please explain consignment basic sale, how we recognize the revenue? Very good. Okay. Consignment. Consignments, generally consignment means I got some goods which I want to sell to my customers. So I will have an intermediary called consignee. I will pass those goods to him, and understanding is that he will keep my inventory for a certain period. And while he's keeping, he can sell those goods to end customers. And and after lapse of the period, he can return those inventory to me, or he can assign to another dealer who I have directed to, right? So typically consignment arrangement, normally consignment arrangement, if I'm the main person, let's say I'm selling computers, I have a consignee, I have given 1,000 units to him. And out of 1,000 units, at the end of the month, he has sold 200 units. So I can recognize revenue only up to 200 units. I can't recognize for 1,000 units just because I have given it to some other party. If he has been seen as a consignee, I can't recognize. Now the question comes in, then how I determine whether he's a consignee or not. If the arrangement such a way where you say, the other party, look here, you can keep these goods for a particular period of time. This is the selling price which you need to sell it to the customers, and you sell it. And whenever you do the sales, you update me, maybe monthly wise. And after, let's say after 3 months, whatever remaining goods you return to me. So if the arrangement such a way, it is very clear you are keeping the control. Now, under IFRS 15, the bottom line for the revenue recognition is you need to pass the control of the goods or service to the customer. So in this consignment arrangement, even though I'm passing goods to him, I'm not passing the control of the goods to him. He can keep it, he can do the promotions or whatever, but at a certain point in time, either he should return it to me, the remaining goods, or he should assign to some other person at my direction. But the arrangement goes such a way to say, okay, now after you keep goods for 3 months, and after 3 months, it's your goods, and you can have the control over it, then it's a revenue. And again, right? When you do the transaction with consignees, it's a kind of initial consideration is a kind of a deposit. Now, let's say 1,000 units of computers. Let's say one unit is 250,000. It's big money, right? So ideally sales is 250,000 into 1,000 units. But when you do transaction with consignee, you will give that 200,000 units to the consignee, but you're keeping a kind of a deposit, to you're asking a small amount from the consignee, maybe 1 million, representing 4 units of computer. So if the consideration goes as a kind of a deposit, And consignee only get a kind of commission for whatever services he's providing. So it's a consignment arrangement. So bottom line is when you pass the control to the buyer. Buyer could be consignee, buyer could be end customer, but when you pass to the control to whom, right? And that point only you recognize revenue. Okay, I think that is clear. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Here, very good thing again. Thank you very much for your comments. I guess we do not have any further questions for now. Please, if you know me personally or you know how to reach me, you can pose any questions to me later on. Of course, you are in our WhatsApp groups. Please, you can use the WhatsApp group as yours. Let's be mindful to be professional. Let's use the WhatsApp group only for professional discussions, right? So you can ask any question even through the WhatsApp group, or you can reach me through my LinkedIn, or you can reach me through WhatsApp group where I am, and we have the admin group, or you can reach me through online Nakura team. Yes, my number is there in the WhatsApp group, so you can reach me. Okay. Right. I guess, thank you very much for the compliment. I guess we have come to an end of this session. Please, we like to have your feedback. And of course, now we have brought this W.H. Smith case for the discussion today. If you also have kind of interesting story, be mindful about confidentiality and sensitivity. You can share those with me, then we can take on if it is something really interesting. What we're going to do is we are not just looking at those headlines and bringing it here. We will also go through certain annual reports and take those examples and whatnot to explain you what has happened. Let's say, for example, there's nothing wrong mentioned in the company. I think somewhere 2011-12, there was a significant accounting adjustment in Elephant House, that is Ceylon Cold Stores PLC, which I was involved as the auditor. If you look at year before and that particular year, there's a significant difference in accounting because of one particular adjustment which is connected to one important standard. So we're going to take example like that also to share with you and to explain you what actually happened there, right? So you also can share your thoughts, ideas. We'll try to accommodate the way possible. I think yeah, good to go. So let me hand over the session to Tarushi to wind up. Tarushi, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Andreas, for sharing your valuable insights in today's IFRS session. A big thank you also to all our participants for joining and engaging in this first session. We will keep you updated about the next session date through our WhatsApp group. We look forward to seeing you again.
Right. Thank you, everyone. You can leave the session, and of course, you can connect with us to share your experience. Thank you. Good night.